cheering. She just does this. That's our signal. So my name is Lee Stern, and I understand today you've had kind of a double dose of Sterns today with Josh here for another mastermind group earlier, and then me here today. I wanted to, I'll tell you, I'm at the not the Midvale office, I'm at the Sugar House office. My email address is up here, leestern@kw.com. It's the easiest way to reach me is through that. So this started in that last year I did a series in my Sugar House office called The Top 10 Skills of a Rockstar Realtor. And so the education committee came back and said, could we do another kind of series this year? And I said, yes. I said, but the thing I am most worried about right now is listings, because I think our inventory is down and that's something we should all be focusing on. So we decided to do a listing series. So this is going to be, and then Tyler said, oh, I heard you're doing a listing series. Could we do it? Park City said, oh, I hear you're doing a listing series. Can we do it? So I'm actually doing this class in 3 different places. You all are at the end of group. So for example, do I have anybody here from Sugar House? Thank you. I knew you were coming and I didn't know Lindsay was, but I'm glad you're here. Brand new agent. So the nice thing is she can come here and pick up the ones she missed. For the people who are not here today, there isn't a place they can go. So I apologize to those who aren't here today, and they should have been. But know that if for some reason your next date, which is March 31st for me to be back, if that date doesn't work for you and you want to take number 2 class, then you could do it at either Sugar House or Park City, and we would love to have you there. So please know that you can go mix and match if you want to. So when we sat down with my Sugar House group and said, okay, what are the things that you want to make sure we cover in this listing series? Ultimately, there was a long list. We did a whole parking lot of things. But ultimately, what they decided was that they wanted to do a series, 1 session, and these are 1 hour long, so it's very fast. 1 series on the visual presentation, another on the verbal presentation, along with setting expectations, the third on objection handling that they get at the listing, and the last was how do we find listings? So that is what the series is going to be. Unfortunately, I don't remember what dates 3 and 4 are on, but Tyler knows them, and I'm sure your staff does, but I know that the next one is March 31st because we had to do a little change due to a conflict you all had, okay? So those dates are here. I'll leave this up, so for those that are on that side that can't see it afterwards, you can come over and grab it. So I want to start first with a thought, and that is there's a saying out there that says a picture's worth 1,000 words. And there is a reason that saying, now we have 2 from Sugar House because Kip just arrived. There's a reason that saying is so impactful. Most people are visual learners. So if I go out on a listing presentation and I'm sitting across from Lindsay and her husband and telling them all of this, they're not absorbing it as well, nor is it as compelling as if I had pictures. So that's why I wanted to start with the visual presentation. So I want you all to play just a little game with me for just a second. Everybody close your eyes. And I'll wait till you're all closed. Yep, even you. Okay, so keep your eyes closed. If you have a visual listing presentation, raise your hand. Okay, put your hands down. Perfect. So everybody open your eyes. I did that because I want to see who doesn't have one, but you all didn't need to know who didn't have one. Roughly in this room, and you're better than most of my groups, you're at about 40% of this group has a visual presentation, which means 60% of you don't. So let's talk a little about why you would not have a visual presentation. And the reason I do that is because this is a telephone call that I'll get about 4 times a year. And the call goes like this. Hey, Lee, it's so-and-so. Do you have like 20 minutes today for me? And I'm like, sure, what have you got? Well, I've got a listing presentation in 3 hours, and I just wonder what I should do for it. 3 or 4 times a year, guys. And I then say, no, I don't have 20 minutes for you. Because that's not a 20-minute meeting. If you're not prepared to get listings, then guess what happens? You don't get listings. Exactly. And so this is why this class is here, is I want everybody at the end of this to really go ahead at the end of 4 weeks and be prepared. You know, it's funny, I didn't buy investment properties for a lot of years. And then I met with my dad and we talked about how I would build my financial wealth. And, you know, part of that was going to be real estate. And suddenly when I was 50 and deciding I needed to buy real estate, it's like it was everywhere. Now, do I think that the other, 25 years I was in real estate or 30 years I was in real estate, it just wasn't there? It was. I just wasn't ready for it. You're not getting listings mostly because you're not getting ready for it. Okay. How many of you do, and you can raise your hand for this one, how many of you get more buyers a year than listings a year? Yeah, almost everybody. Okay. Because you're probably not ready for it. All right. So now let me go back to the other question. What is the reason you don't have a visual presentation? Just shout it out. Don't know what to do? Lazy? Emily? That was your hand up. You have to contribute. Okay. So time management, I kind of heard that on both ends here. How about any of you figured you didn't need one? Don't see the value in it. You kind of figured you are it. You are the presentation, right? I think that for a lot of people, that's really what they think, is that I'll just go out and I'll present to Kip and Dave and that's it, I'll be good. And you might get lucky some of the time, but you won't be compelling. I have no clue what causes that. But if I walk slowly, I'm hoping it fixes itself. Okay. So I just think that really, if you do a great presentation, and this is the reason that I've always had a visual presentation. If I do a really great presentation, then what happens is I almost never get an objection. And so I want you to think about your own presentations. You don't need to verbalize this one. How many times are you getting objections? Well, I don't want to do it at 6%. Well, we're going to think about it. Well, I'm talking to some other realtors. Well. If you're getting objections, it is probably really an indication that your presentation is not sensational. And I'd like you to be sensational. I think anything other than that is, why bother? It's pretty easy. I always say the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is about 20 extra minutes. So I'd like you to spend the extra 20 minutes and become extraordinary. So there are lots of ways you can have a presentation. Some of you might have it on a laptop. Those of you who know me know that that would never be my first choice. I'm technology challenged. Okay. If I got to their house and I couldn't connect to their internet, I would fall apart. I would not know what to do. So truthfully, this is my listing presentation. And I'm going to pass it around so you all can see it. And I would just ask you to don't take real long because it's got to go through a whole room. And please do just keep it moving. I'm going to have lots of things to send around, so keep track. Interestingly enough, this listing presentation is exactly the same one that Jeremy uses, Mike uses, Ken uses on the Stern team. So sometimes you all think you have to personalize your presentation to make it all about you. For your sellers, it's not. Okay, so don't get too hung up on that one. We're going to start this over here with you, and you're going to be in charge of passing it around. Person at the back is going to make sure it gets all the way up here at the end of the class. Okay. All right. So that is one presentation. That is my actual presentation. I don't care if you take pictures. You're going to have to be fast if everybody in this room has to take pictures. So I asked in the Sugar House office at my first class, because I had told everybody there, bring your presentation. And there was one person. I had 38 people in the room. There was one person who brought a presentation. Truthfully, she may have been the only person who had a presentation. Okay, so you guys at 40% really are doing way better. So this one is for Emily. Now, Emily's been a realtor for a year, so not very long in the business. She's doing fabulously. This is Emily's presentation, and I like this presentation. I asked her if I could pay for a copy of it and if I could share it with you all. And she said yes. And she said to me, by the way, who helped me put my presentation together was Phoenix in our office. Phoenix is very tech savvy. And I said to Phoenix, who happened to be in the class, Phoenix, since you've already done one, you kind of have a template there. Would you be willing to do for other people? And he said yes. And we agreed that $150 is what he would charge. And so if anybody needs help, if you're like me and not real tech savvy, and you need help in putting one together, you might want to consider calling Phoenix and having one put together for you. He will personalize it as he did for Emily. So I'm going to pass this one around. Thanks, honey. Yes, the last four digits, Phoenix's phone number, for those who can't see, are 435-230-8680. Now, my listing presentation is not a leave with the client presentation. So the one that's going around the room, that just stays in the back seat of my car, in that little flap behind the front seat pocket, that one. So I just carry that same one, and I only have to update it once a year when the market or the year ends and I have to do new market numbers. That's the only time I have to change mine. Okay. The one that Emily did is a leave behind. It really feels like a magazine. It's really very lovely. I think she said it cost her about $15 to print it. She got a bunch of them printed. But hers is absolutely a leave behind. Okay. All right. Next one. On command. I didn't bind this one. I just printed it. So on command, you have a listing presentation. Okay. And that one you can all get through your office, personalize it yourself. You don't have to personalize it for the client. So it could be not one that you don't leave behind, like mine is not a leave behind. Okay. And then finally, we have the old Michael Lewis one. Okay. Now we're not using a Keller Williams, excuse me, Michael Lewis anymore. However, on my team, Emily Reed, who is our marketing person, before we weren't doing Michael Lewis anymore, downloaded it. She is happy to email it to anybody who likes this one. And Emily's email is up there. It's also on this little sheet. So I'm going to pass this around. Okay, there you go. Emily's got the templates, okay, for the listing presentation. So that'll go around. So there are four, in my mind, pretty darn easy ways for you to have a listing presentation. So if the reason you hadn't had one before is because you didn't know what to include or how to do one, that is no longer an option or an excuse. Agreed? Okay. I'm so glad you all agree. Because next month when I come back on March 31st, yep, you need to understand this is why Kip is here today, because he's coming to my class tomorrow and he knows he doesn't get in my class for Series 2 tomorrow without bringing a listing presentation with him. That is your ticket to next month's class. You must have completed a listing presentation. For me, the only reason for us to get educated is so that we can implement. Okay, so I hope all of you will choose to be in the room next month. And I'm going to assume if you're not in the room, it's because you didn't do a listing presentation. And then seriously, I'll probably make fun of you for the rest of your lives. every time I see you, or I may talk about you behind your back because you opted not to be serious about your real estate career. Fair enough? Okay. Hate to make it tough on you, but honestly, this is about doing. This is not about just sitting here and learning a few things. It's about implementing. I just think if I can be doing this series in 3 different market centers and get, I don't know how many are in this room. You're in charge of timing and counting. How many are in this room? I don't know how many are in this room at this point, but I'm going to find out very shortly how many are in the room. But think about it. If I had 38 people in Sugar House, in Park City, I had 10 in place and 40 some on Zoom. So we did a combination live and on Zoom class. So I had over 50 agents there, plus whatever number we have here, and you're counting them, right? Turn around. You're in charge of counting everybody. This is your job. You sit in the front. There are responsibilities. Just count them. Just turn around and mentally, count them. This is not a hard job. You have how many? 39. Okay, so let's say roughly 40. So think about it. If we now have over 120 agents at Keller Williams who are now really getting serious about listings, what does that do for all of us? We have more inventory. We have things we can take our buyers to, kind of get the inside track on those things. By the way, every time you get a listing, don't you also pick up at least another buyer? So I'm here to try to make a difference in your incomes and achieving your goals, but you have to do part of the work. So you now know what the work is. All right. So that's the first thing on listing presentations. I want to tell you a little about what we do on the Stern team when we're doing presentations. So when I get an appointment, one of the things we do is we immediately send out a confirmation to the client of the appointment. And so I sent over to this office a copy of this so that I could play this for you all.
Hello, I'm Joshua Stern, and I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to assist you with the sale of your home. We are looking forward to meeting with you. Attached to this email for your review is our strategic selling system. Before you dig into that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Stern team and what makes us entirely different. So last year, we spent over $250,000 marketing our listings, while the average agent spent just $950, according to the National Association of Realtors. Now, the average agent sells about 9 homes a year, and the Stern team sold over 300 homes in that same period of time, about a home every 27 hours. According to our local board of realtors, an average agent had their home on the market for 51 days, while the Stern team sold their homes in 28 days. That's 45% faster. And the Stern team sold their homes for 100.13% of the list to sell price, which is more than 3% higher than the average Wasatch Front agent. That's a lot of money in your pocket. These numbers are so glaringly different because of our unique 25-point selling strategy. And I'd like to highlight a few things that we do to achieve these results. For example, most realtors are going to use KSL, the local classified site that even employers recommend when they have new transferees looking for housing. Most realtors use the free version to post their homes once every 10 days. And if you do that, by day 4, you're on page 40, and by day 10, you're on page 400. On the Stern team, we spend thousands of dollars a year so we can post our homes each and every day of the week. This is the only way that we can ensure when people look, you're on the front page. Nowadays, 100% of people are going to find your home online before they even come and look at it. So realtors are going to put your home on a handful of websites. On the Stern team, however, you're going to be featured on over 500 websites. As important as that is, how your home shows is also critical. So one of the things we're going to spend time on when we get together is going through your home, helping you to stage your home so that it will be photograph ready and it'll look its very best, because we only have one chance to make a good first impression. To make that most of that first impression, we hire a professional photographer. They will schedule an appointment with you at a time that you determine to do a professional shoot of your home. Then we have to look at where our buyers are coming from. Now, a lot of buyers in Utah are homegrown, but currently Utah is among the top states in the nation for in-migration. So many of our buyers are actually moving here from out of state. So we have to be not just on the local MLS system, but we need to be on a national MLS as well. And that is something that the Stern team is going to do for you. Probably the last thing that I would point out, because you're going to go through all of our strategic selling system, is that most realtors use what I call the 3 Ps of real estate. And that is, they put a sign up, they put the property on the MLS, and then they pray it'll sell. Now, all 3 are good. We use all 3. But again, with our unique selling strategy, we're proactively searching for buyers for your home and going far beyond this. We currently have a database of over 15,000 registered buyers that will notify that your home will be on the market soon. And who do they know? Or are they interested in it? But we also think about where the buyer for the home is most likely to come from. So we're going to call your neighbors and ask them who they may know that would like to live in your neighborhood. Because you have had friends that said, gosh, I wish I lived here. We want to let those neighbors help us, but we also want to call people in areas where the buyer is likely to come from. And we're going to also notify the other realtors who have buyers who want to be in this area. Our team's inside sales agents will proactively make hundreds of phone calls to find the right buyer for your home, rather than just praying that a buyer will show up. All of this work is done prior to what we call a grand opening, our most successful marketing tactic. And I'm really excited for you to hear what a grand opening is like. The Stern team agent will share that when they come out and meet with you. So I'd encourage you to go through the Stern team's strategic selling system in detail. Now, I've provided just a few highlights of what makes us entirely different from other realtors and what you can expect when you list your home with the Stern team. We're excited to show you how to get the most amount of money for your home and do it all in your time frame.
Isn't he cute? I'd be a proud mom. Okay, so first of all, those numbers aren't accurate. Who's got the, Justin, can I borrow that from you for just a second? I'll give it right back to you. Oh, you're collecting. Stop collecting. One of them needs to move. I'm not giving this back to you. Move it. So the numbers are old. Matter of fact, I said to Josh, once I started teaching this class, we need to redo our video because the numbers are different than what they really are. So when you get my listing presentation, you will find the actual numbers for last year here. If anything, taking a picture of this page is probably a good idea because you have the national numbers, what the average realtor is doing, what our average time on the MLS is for time on the market, and then you can pick whatever your own numbers are, but this will at least give you some of the homework being done. Thank you. Okay, so was there anything in that presentation that you couldn't address in your own business? Okay, saying no over here. Really? Well, the 3 Ps you absolutely can use. And I have for 40 years. What was the other one I was hearing? The investment in marketing. So you're not paying. Last year, our marketing was over 400,000, just so you know. So you're probably not paying that. But go back and look what your marketing was. You know, if the average agent is paying, what is the marketing piece number on that one, Justin? Going back to that script. 900? Okay. Are you paying over 900 a year in marketing? Even if you're paying double, you can say I'm paying double. I'm investing double in marketing. Okay? Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Well, think about just hiring a professional photographer. How much is that? Pretty easy to get to over 900, isn't it? Okay. So I think that's an easy one you could do. What else would you struggle with? What else? Oh, we use Matterport. Yeah, we use Matterport. No, that's how much the average realtor is spending on marketing. Our cost of sale would be way more than that, Claire. If we're spending last year 425,000 for 350 closings, just over 350. Thank you. That's the one that came over here. So we have a database and it was 15,000 on this video. It is now well over 30. So that's our Stern team website. And truthfully, people have figured that one out. Not just buyers, but other realtors have figured out to go to the Stern team website to search, because we do tell you what's coming ahead of time. Now, we don't let you in early, but it's no longer worrying about missing something. We'll tell you when it's coming ahead of time. Is that something you could do? And by the way, if you don't have a big database, then skip that one. What would be some other things you might instead do? Or maybe instead of having, are there 4 or 5 things? Who's got the Stern team one? Okay, sorry, I need to borrow it again and look on the page. You would think I would know. Tell me your name. Jackie. Everybody, this is Jackie out of the Sugar House office. She just got into real estate. So I thought it was really cool she came. So I compared 4 things. Would it be the end of the world if you compared 3? So drop off the one thing you can't do and compare 3 things. Okay. I think in Emily's, thank you, Jackie. I think in Emily's magazine one, who's got that one? Okay. I think in the comparison, how many things does she compare? It's done in kind of a turquoise color. 3. She does 3 things. Okay. So not a big deal. Yes. Right. Good. Absolutely. So tell me your name. Clyde. So for Clyde and Jackie, if they're new in real estate, as by the way, Emily was a year ago before she did her magazine presentation, you have no stats. You have no average. But I think you can go to the office, you could go to Tyler or the MCA here and say, what is the average for our market center? And use that number. Because we use we all the time. And in my case, I'm talking we, the team. But how many of you could just say we, meaning we, the Keller Williams team? Good point. Easy to do. Okay, so we send this out to them as soon as we've scheduled the appointment. Why do we do that? Say it loud. Confirmation. Okay. It's like a pre-listing. Yeah, it's like a pre-listing. I think the biggest reason we send it is because then I don't have to cover as much stuff when I go. It makes my job easier. Now, in this list or in this email that goes out to them, hold on, now I have to get back to that. Oh, who's my technology person? Emily, any idea how I go back? It's now gone to YouTube, which I don't want to go to. Okay.
Are you going back to the video?
Yeah, I want to go.
Hit that replay button in the bottom left corner.
Okay.
Because you're still on that video.
I want to go back to the email that I sent Tyler, because there's some other stuff in that email I want you to see. Okay.
So do you send a physical copy too, or just an email?
Nope, just an email. Just an email. And then I bring my physical copy in. Most of the time, I never have to open it. Okay. But I bring it in case they need me to open it. My email or Tyler's? LeeStern@kw.com. And I'd sent it to Tyler. If you type in under strategic, it'll probably, 1, 2, 3, Heath. Oh, got to verify it's me because I'm not there. Sorry, guys. Did not expect that to disappear. So let's look on our. Well, it's because we're on a different computer. Okay, Google verification. G 493196.
96.
Oh, no, that was an old one. Today's is G 392745. Okay, now find it from, it was when I sent to Tyler, would have said strategic on it. Okay, by the way, where do we get our videos done? Do any of you have access to somebody who is a videographer? Yeah, so shout out where you have access to that person. Mine is through my lender. That is Intercap Lending who does ours. They have a full-time videographer, green room, all the equipment. They put the whole thing on like I was a newscaster. I can read every single thing that I need to say. I can write out the whole script before I get there. I can do as many takes as I need to. Makes it really, really easy. Where else do you have a videographer? Any other places? Okay, perfect. So we've got a preferred videographer in this office as a preferred vendor. You have a video room where?
Yeah, we have this. It's painted inside black, so you can record videos inside there. Never been refied.
Oh,
Behind this thing.
you guys are good.
You asked Pat.
Yeah, yes for help to do it, yeah.
Glass. So I'm not even gonna tell you. So you'll ask.
Okay,
Is this what you needed?
yes, thank you very much. So you'll notice it's up on the screen, so we're not gonna watch the video again, but you'll notice within the email that we send to them is also my entire listing presentation. The one that's going around is also there. Now I tell them when I'm making up the appointment, if I'm scheduling an appointment with Kip, I'm gonna say, Kip, by the way, I'm going to send you an email just confirming our time. And in that email, there's a video that my cute son did. He's way cuter and younger than me. So please watch that. It's 4 minutes long. And then you'll find my entire marketing plan, a link to that. I'd like you to review that. So when I get there, if you have any questions, we can go over that. And then lastly, there's one more link, and that is to the seller's property disclosure. So anytime a seller is selling his house, there is a form the state of Utah requires called a property disclosure. I'd like you to print that out and get that done before I get there. Could you do that for me, please? Sure. Okay, that's exactly what the conversation goes on the phone. Yes. Okay, so we're going to do that when we get to the objection handling series, which is class 3. No, they only get that if we're doing an appointment. But truthfully, tell me your name. Wendy. So Wendy, I understand that you're not sure yet when you want to sell. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Okay, not a problem. I think you are so smart to be meeting with me before you make this decision, because I'll let you know what things you need to do. You can prep it. I wish everybody was smart enough to really call me before they've made that decision. So I promise you're not going to regret the time you spend with me. So tomorrow night at 7:30 would be best. Am I right? Great. So I'm going to send you an email and then I go right through the script I just gave you. Okay. I'm going to send that email with the video of Josh, the entire marketing plan, and the seller's property disclosure. And I'm going to tell them it's their homework assignment. They have to have it done, Jackie. Fairly often. So typically it goes like this. So Jackie, did you get a chance to review the marketing plan? No? Okay, so you probably will have some questions, so we'll go over that. Did you watch the video of my cute son? Okay, so after we're done, I still want you to commit to do that, okay? And I'm gonna bet then you didn't fill out the seller's disclosure. Not a problem, I brought one. Okay? I'd say more than 50% of the time they're watching it and doing it. Yeah, more than 50% of the time they are. I suppose it should. I guess it hasn't for me. I just go through it. It just takes us a little longer because now I've got to go through my presentation and cover things. I like it better if they've gone through it and I go, okay, tell me what questions you had.
Do you wait for them to fill out the seller's disclosures if they didn't do it beforehand?
Um,
Do you leave them?
if I'm listing, well, I will happily leave them. If I'm listing the house, which is what my intent is, then I will fill out the top part of it and they have to have it done before I have my grand opening. So I don't have to have it at that moment because that's a longer period of time to have to wait. And if I do want them to have it, then here's my deal. You'll do that. You'll help me fill out the listing forms. Okay. And I'll do this part. And I put the three of us to work. Okay. And you will take the longest because that is the toughest one. Okay. All right. Here and then there.
So is your objection to take that listing 85% of the time, 90 or 75 or 100?
Well, my objective is to take it every time. I'm not always getting it every time, but my objective is to take it every time. And, you know, if somebody said to me, like Wendy had said to me, well, we're not sure we're going to move because we're only going to move if my husband gets the job transfer. Well, that's a condition, not an objection. If Wendy says, well, you know, Barry and I, unless we get divorced, we're not going to sell. Well, that's a condition, not an objection. So please know the difference. But if it's something other than that, then I figure I'm going to overcome that evening. And most of the time that I will. And you'll see that next month when we're doing the actual listing presentation or for you tomorrow. Okay, Claire. Yeah. Yeah, it is not about if we do this. And by the way, I will have people who say to me, well, yes, but that's only if we decide to sell our house. And I'm like, oh yeah, this whole thing is only if you sell your house. And then I just keep right on going. Well, and they might say, well, that's only if we list with me. And I said, absolutely. We don't know if we want to work together yet. And then I carry on. Okay. I'm not going to stop because of that. All right. So why would I send all of these things? Okay, it's a touch.
I feel like it also makes them feel a little bit obligated because it feels like you've already put a lot of work into them.
Okay. Yeah, I think I am just plowing through. I think it is upset. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I do that a lot. If somebody says, well, we're not ready to set an appointment, call us next week. I know when I do my follow-up call the next week, I always call and say, hey, Claire, it's Lee. I promised to call you today and I'm just keeping my promises. So and then I start them with whatever. So I reaffirm it as my problem or promise. I also think that I'm standing out from the competition. If they've got appointments with 2 or 3 other agents, how many others have sent them something? I also am telling them I'm planning on selling their house by sending that. Okay, no bones about it. They don't want necessarily somebody who's pushy, but they always want somebody who gets it done. And they always want somebody who has a game plan on how to get it done. They're not looking for a wishy-washy nice person. They're looking for somebody who gets it done. I think it teaches those things. Okay. All right. How many of you do some sort of pre-list? Claire? 3. Okay. So I do think that a pre-list makes a whole lot of sense, guys, on your presentation to just do that. Now, this is not the only thing we do videos on. Okay, so Jackie was on our team for years. So Jackie, back me up on this. Every good news, right? You know, every good news has a video attached. So the good news is the property's listed. Okay, so there's a video that I did that says, hey, congratulations. I'm so looking forward to getting to work with you and getting your house sold, making your dreams come true and blah, blah, blah. And it's like a it's probably about a minute to a minute and a half video that goes out along with copies of their signed listing docs. And it just says good news on the top. Well, I get a copy of that in my email, the good news, because my staff sends that out. I get a copy of that, and that's my signal to give them a call and say, hey, how are you doing on that seller's property disclosure? You working on that? Okay, you got 10 days, but I want you to work on it. Okay, how are you doing with packing the boxes? Did you go to Chick-fil-A and get those empty boxes? Okay, I just do that touch. And remember, while you're working with me and you're feeling fabulous about the job I'm doing, keep your ears open. I want you to refer somebody that you know and care about who is looking for this kind of service, okay? The biggest reason for the videos is really twofold. One, I want referral business. I mean, my clients, I'm constantly saying to them, oh, in 2 weeks, I'll be unemployed again. We'll be closing. Who will I have next? Okay. So I think that's one of the reasons. The second reason is I don't want to have that phone call every time. So if I can do it in a video, it's way more effective than my hoping to remember to give them a call in that time frame. So the other good news calls would be, so we're under contract. By the way, we have a set of good news calls for buyers side also. So listing side just went under contract or just listed it. Then we do the photos are back. Okay. And that's a fun call to make because we've sent them a copy of the photos. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys did so awesome in getting the house ready. It looks fabulous. You know, so that's a fun one. By the way, have you thought of who I should be helping next? Okay, so it's that's what those good news calls are about. There's one when the inspection has been confirmed. There's one when the appraisal has been confirmed. And there is another one when the closing has been set. So there are 5 good news calls. So 5 opportunities for me to be the good guy and for me to remember to ask for the referral while I'm on that phone call. Okay. Every one of those has a video. And it's just one video used for all the clients get the same videos. I did my own. Jackie, you did your own. Josh will do them if you don't want to do them. If you're a camera share, he'll do, well, he probably won't do yours, but he'd do mine. But you know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be you. It could be somebody on the team. But in our case, it was us individually doing them. And then they're just in the library and Elizabeth or Mandy would send them out at the appropriate time. Carbon copy us. Always the headline is good news. And a good news means what? A phone call. Okay. And a phone call using the Raz script. Okay, all of you know what the Raz is? How many of you do not know what the Raz is? Raise your hands proudly. I didn't know for a zillion years. Thank you. Okay, so the Raz script is part of our conversation that we have with our sellers when we've listed the house. At the end of my listing presentation, and you'll see it next week or in Kip's case tomorrow. At the end of my presentation, we've signed all the documents. I do a script called the promise. Anybody ever hear of the promise script? Yeah, we could pick on you girls could do it. I bet you could still do it. We have the promise script on the wall outside our office. So next time you're in Sugar House, come over and snap a picture. I did not bring a copy of the promise. In my presentation, in my packet that has all of the listing documents, which you'll see next month, the last page of it is just a 1 page that just says our promise. And it's really just there to remind me to do the promise. But the promise goes something like this. Justin, Lizzie, got another minute for me? I have one more thing I want to cover with you. Okay, great. So I have this goal that we call our promise, and that is to provide an experience that you couldn't possibly have imagined being any better. Now, all of the people on my team, all the systems we use are focused on one thing, and that is getting what you want out of this transaction. Now it's real estate, people involved, so there may be some challenges, but my goal is to get ahead of those challenges and just keep it as smooth as it can get. How does that sound? Wonderful. And I'm going to hope that I'm doing that, while I'm doing that, that you'll fulfill another personal goal I have for me. And that is that you'll be feeling so good about the job I'm doing. When you hear of somebody who's thinking about buying, selling, has a question about real estate, wants to refinance, whatever, that you're going to give them my name and number so that I can help them. Would you be willing to do that? Wonderful. Matter of fact, Lindsay, Justin, I'd like to take it one step farther. When you hear of somebody who's thinking about buying or selling, I would like you to pick up the phone and call me with their name and number. That way there's 100% chance that I can reach out to them. Can you do that? Okay, that would be awesome. You know, referrals are a lifeblood, and I couldn't do this without you. Okay? Thank you. You are a rock star. Now, if we get to the closing table and you haven't referred anybody to me, I'm going to want to have that hard conversation. I'm going to want to ask you what it is that I or my team could have done better so that you would have been willing to refer people to me. I don't want to have that conversation, but we will if you haven't, okay? So you'll call me? You're right. You're the bomb. That's where the bomb comes in at the end. Okay, that's our script. Now, what will happen is as we're going through each time I'm getting a good news, I'm now calling them that. And in the beginning on that first call, I say to them, you know, when people are buying or selling a house, they run into other people who are thinking about buying or selling a house. Matter of fact, let me tell you the truth. The first time I bought a Prius, I had to order it by the factory. There weren't any around town. So I had to, thank you, had to order it online. 6 weeks later, it arrived. And within a week, there are people at stop signs in Priuses. They were like everywhere. I couldn't find one on a lot. And suddenly I own one and now they're everywhere. That's your Raz. When you're focused on something like buying or selling a home, suddenly you realize there are a lot of other people that you know that are thinking about buying or selling a home. So when that happens, that's what I'm hoping you'll pick up the phone and call me with, okay? Okay, great. So that's the Raz referral, and I have no idea how we got off on that. Okay, all right. So back to this. So do this presentation. It makes me stand out. It is a confirmation of the appointment. It gives them a homework assignment that I have verbally said, here's your job, do your job. You'll have that done by the time we meet on Thursday at 7:30, right? And gotten that confirmation, okay? They are less likely then to be like Wendy and undecided. They just start kind of moving into that process of, okay, let's get this done, okay? All right, where are our handouts? Who's got a handout right now? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've had one that made it all the way to the back of the room. Two that have made it to the back of the room. Okay, got a couple more that need to make it to the back of the room. Just want to make sure.
I think they need to make it back to the front of the room. Here.
Oh, you haven't seen him? Okay. Claire, as they get to the back of the room, can you bring them over because they need to come over on this side. This side didn't get them, so they've missed out. Anybody else not see them? Okay. Well, it'll be here when we're done. Okay. All right. Yes, Wendy, go ahead. Okay, you're right. That's an objective that we'll handle on week 3. Yeah. Start making a list of all the objections you might have, okay, on your presentation. All right. So I've got 10 minutes left, but I think I've covered what I wanted to cover for you all. So tell me what you'd like to know on your visual, like to keep it to that visual presentation. Jackie. Okay, where does the CMA come in place? Great question. So I do my presentation. Matter of fact, you'll see this at the next class. If you do a safe island in a presentation, which we will be doing, there is a very specific order that you do your presentation in. And the CMA, other than signing the documents, is the last thing you want to cover. Right. I do take a CMA with me for every house. And that I do leave behind with them is the CMA. That will stay with them. Actually, mine stay with me every time. I do. I do. It's kind of gal I am. I do. Okay. Other questions?
Just with the CMA, a lot of times, like I have to be able to walk through and do essentially a pre-list before I can do like the appropriate CMA.
Mhm.
So how, are you just taking one that's generic, very based off the numbers, and then you tweak
Okay.
later on at a pre-list?
Okay, so the question is, I've got somebody who feels like they need to do a two-step, okay? Wants to see the house, wants to do the presentation. I did that for a lot of years. You don't really have to, so I'll save you a lot of years. So I do believe if I'm in the luxury home where it's a custom home, I do end up probably not doing a CMA, bringing sold comps and all the interior pictures, because I haven't got to see the inside of theirs till that day. So then we'll kind of go through that, but there won't be the columns at the end of the CMA. You're absolutely right. But in Utah, we specialize, I found, in stucco boxes. And most neighborhoods very much are pretty cookie cutter. And so I really can, in most cases, do a CMA and be square with it. The one I'm going to use tomorrow in my #2 series is one I did this week. And I thought, okay, as long as I've got a copy of it, I'll just use that one tomorrow. And it was very cookie cutter. The week before that, I was on a 1.8 million, not cookie cutter, right? So that one I had to bring the sold comps and lots of pictures. It was very thick. Okay. But don't get in the habit of doing 2 steps. It's not time effective. Do them in 1 step, except if you have a custom home. Maybe the price point isn't it, but it's a custom home. Or you get in there and there is nothing you can find in the MLS that is similar to what they've described, then you might have to do a 2-step. Okay, Jackie?
I always felt like sometimes when they would always say, hey, just, can you just come over, right? Come look at my place. Build the relationship, but maybe that would be, like you said, 2 steps, would maybe be a more of a opportunity to.
So that's not a listing appointment, okay? Yeah. No, but I want everybody to understand, I'm going out there, not on a listing appointment. If you were Wendy and you said, we are only going to sell the house if the job transfer happens, right, Wendy? Okay. Then my going out to visit with you and Wendy will be about building a relationship, not bringing a CMA, not doing the whole it's different. I'm not walking out thinking I'm going to have the presentation. It's not, or the listing. It's not going to happen. Okay, but on a well, I can set up an appointment, Wendy, because the only reason you're going to list the house is if you get the transfer. So I'm going to wait, because you said that you weren't willing to list yet because you're waiting to see if you get a job transfer. That's a condition. Okay, and I can't overcome a condition. I can overcome an objection, but not a condition. But I may still choose to come out and meet with you just to build the relationship, as Jackie just explained. But that is not a listing presentation.
What do you do during that meeting?
Take a look at their house, find out what things they were thinking they have done to the house to improve the house. I may make a few suggestions on things they might want to think about doing. I'm going to find out when he's going to hear about that job transfer. And then if that happens, how soon do you think you would be moving? And, you know, I had some clients just really a couple of blocks from here, right there, a couple blocks there. A couple of years ago, 1.5 years ago, and Capello's. And when I went out to meet with them, he had taken a new job. So it wasn't subject to this, but she was going to stay behind with the kids and he was going to go. And I said, no, you all go to New Jersey. I don't need you here. It will be easier for the kids to adjust if they move during a school year. And it's so funny because I was talking to Mr. Capello a few months later and he said, Lee, I'm so glad that you said, no, everybody's going at one time. I mean, the market was hot enough. It wasn't a matter of I needed them to stay. Because COVID hit. And had they not moved, she would have been stuck here with 4 kids. So they count their blessings all day long that happened. So I might cover those kinds of things. Okay. All right. Other things or thoughts that we have that we need to cover in today's class on visual presentations. So what is your ticket next month to get into class? You must bring your listing presentation. I will expect when you walk in the door that I can walk through this classroom, and I will get to see everyone's listing presentation. And if you don't have one, then don't come. I mean, really, I am not here for your entertainment. I am here to help those people who would like to take listings and improve their listing skills. The rest of you go find a different class to take. Okay? And I don't mean to be mean about it, but if this is your career, and it's been my career for 48 years, it's time to get down to doing it, not talking about it, not wasting someone else's time because you just need 20 minutes because you got an appointment tonight. Okay? Not going to happen. Okay? All right. Videos can be done here. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. So if you don't have a lender, mine is Intercap. If you're using Intercap, I know they have a video studio, but otherwise use your class here and role play it out with a few people, and you'll look fabulous. I appreciate all of you coming, and I'll see you on the 31st of March with your listing presentations. Okay? Say that again. Okay, so those people who still have, like Shirley's got my listing presentation. Anybody else have, do we have one more that's missing? Okay, so I've got two up here. Shirley's gonna bring mine up, and who's got the other one? Okay, all right. So yeah, if you guys will just bring those up, then other people can see them also. Thank you, glad you stayed. Yes, I just thought you might want to see that, so you know that that's simple. And this is the Michael Lewis one. This one you can get. I have that on.